Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to Real Madrid Hub again. I'm your host, Dr. Jota. In this longer video today, I will be talking about Sergio Ramos and the kind of revolution we might see in the defense, in the back line of Real Madrid. And Sergio Ramos will be the star of this whole, drama, of this whole revolution or this super big change that we might see this year in Real Madrid. Okay. Although all the latest information pointing that Sergio Ramos will finally stay in Real Madrid, which in my opinion is very likely to happen because the latest information that we have is going that direction. I mean, it's moving towards the possibility for Sergio Ramos to prolong and extend his contract with Real Madrid. It doesn't mean, in my opinion, that he will keep the same status that he has had in Real Madrid over the last, 4, 5, 10 years, whatever you want to call it. And the reason for that, the reason for me to think that way is because this year, considering that Real Madrid has signed it already to David Alaba, and considering that we have a very promising player, which is Eder Militao, the problem for Carlo Ancelotti this year will be to pick between Sergio Ramos and Eder Militao. And it's pretty obvious that Real Madrid didn't sign to David Alaba for staying on the bench. I mean, it's pretty obvious that if Real Madrid decided to bolster the defense, the backline of Real Madrid is because, with David Alaba, is because they really consider that the former Bayern Munich player has to be in the lineup every single weekend. So that is the number one. Number two, according to Josep Pedrerol, it was at some point in last year, Florentino Perez, in a private conversation with Sergio Ramos, asked him about his future. I mean, he asked him, okay, are you going to stay in Real Madrid? Because I'm thinking about bolster a little bit more the back line. I'm thinking about to sign another defender for the next year. So what are your thoughts about that? Just let me know what are you thinking about on your future and things like that. And apparently in that conversation, Sergio Ramos replied to Florentino saying, do whatever you have to do, but don't count on me because I won't be here. Those allegedly was the words from Sergio Ramos as a response to Florentino Perez. So with that said, Florentino Perez went ahead and signed to David Alaba. I mean, assuming that Sergio Ramos was going to leave. But now that Florentino Perez already signed to David Alaba on one hand, and Sergio Ramos apparently will stay as well in Real Madrid, the problem is that, the good news is that you already have 4 center backs, which is okay because you can pick among the different center backs, among the 4 of them, which is good, obviously, because you don't have to sign any other player. But for Carlo Ancelotti, it's gotta be worse because he has to dance with the ugliest one. I mean, he has to take the most political incorrect decision ever made since the times of Casillas. You know what I'm saying? So now he has to pick the center backs, the couple of center backs that will be in the 90% of the time, the 90% of the games in the lineup of Real Madrid. And considering that one of the biggest critics that Real Madrid made to Zinedine Zidane was not utilizing to the younger players like Militao, Odegaard, Jovic, and all these players. In my opinion, Carlo Ancelotti can't make the same mistake, and he will pick to Militao ahead of Sergio Ramos. So that means that for the first time in years, we will see a completely renewed couple of center backs, a renewed defense line for the first time in 4 to 5 years, because for the first time it's not going to be Rafa Varane and Sergio Ramos. In my opinion, as of the next season, we will see Eder Militao on one hand and David Alaba on the other hand, because I don't think by any means that David Alaba will stay on the bench of Real Madrid. I mean, you're not paying 15 million euros a year or 12 million euros a season to a player for staying in the bench. You know what I'm saying? So Ancelotti knows very well, and he's really aware that he has to line up every single weekend to David Alaba. So there's only one spot left in the center back. And that spot, in my opinion, will go to Eder Militao. What I don't know though is what kind of revolution are we going to see? I mean, is Ancelotti, or will Ancelotti pick all the time to Militao ahead of Sergio Ramos? Is going to be a total revolution, or is it going to be a kind of partial revolution? I mean, mixing and blending, or alternating is a better word, alternating to Eder Militao and Sergio Ramos over the season. I mean, maybe the 50% of the time for Militao, 50% of the time for Sergio Ramos, maybe the Copa del Rey for Militao or Sergio Ramos, maybe the La Liga for Sergio Ramos. Is he going to alternate the players? Is it going to be a partial revolution? I mean, it might be. It's another kind of, more softer transition. Because to me, it's gonna be tough to say, hey, Sergio Ramos will start from the bench every single weekend. I don't know if Carlo Ancelotti will dare to do that. That would be a very bold move. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised though, because if you think about it, if we have to count on the youngsters, of course Militao has to be way ahead of Sergio Ramos. Because the other spot, the other center back position is going to be for David Alaba. And of course, I mean, it's pretty sad to say this, but Nacho Fernandez is going to start again from the bench. I don't think that Nacho Fernandez will have another opportunity like he had last season. And it's just because the age. I mean, if you think about it, Nacho Fernandez and Sergio Ramos are the oldest guys in the center backs, among the center backs. So if you have that philosophy, if you have that idea, then you have to put the David Alaba and Eder Militao, because the point here this leads me to highlight another point, is that I'm not talking about the physical condition, the performances and stuff, because in my opinion Sergio Ramos is still a very good player. He tries to stay on track all the time. He works out almost every single day. He takes care of his diet every single day. So in my opinion, he has the credit still to be in the lineup of Real Madrid. The problem is the age. The problem here is the age. And I mean, the reason why we saw the Eder Militao succeeding in Real Madrid last season, it was just because Sergio Ramos was injured and Varane got COVID and injured as well. But the peak of Sergio Ramos is something that we saw last Christmas, but that's it. I mean, the peak of Sergio Ramos' shape was pretty much the previous season, the season when we won La Liga, and then the first 3 to 4 months of the last season. But right after that, right after Christmas, when he got the surgery, and in my opinion, he was declining a little bit. And first, Nacho Fernandez replaced Sergio Ramos, and he did a great job as well. And then when Rafa Varane got COVID and got injured, then Eder Militao had the opportunity to show to all of us that he is a very good player and he really deserves to play for Real Madrid. You know what I'm saying? So this is not about who is in the best shape, who really deserves to be in the first place of the center backs in Real Madrid. It's not just that. You know what I'm saying? The only strong reason is the age. Because if you have to think about the next decade, the next generation of Real Madrid players, it's pretty obvious that the youngsters have to be ahead of the older ones. You know what I'm saying? And this applies not only for the back line, but also for the midfield and even other positions. I mean, it's gotta be tough, but in my opinion, that is what we are going to see this season, and it has to be that way. I mean, it was hard in the past with Raul Gonzalez, with Iker Casillas, with Emilio Butragueño, and all these players who were real institutions within Real Madrid. But one day, another coach came up and put them on the bench. And their careers as of that moment were over. And it is something that might happen to Sergio Ramos this year. And I mean, it has to happen. Don't get me wrong. It has to happen because at some point you have to bet for the youngsters, for the young people that they have to succeed in Real Madrid. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so now let me know your thoughts about that. Just comment in the section below. And of course, subscribe my channel, Real Madrid Hub.